Hey guys, fishing the west in a boat today. I just wanted to show you kind of my kokanee gear setup and my philosophy for catching kokanee. And I fished for them in a lake in Idaho, multiple lakes in Utah, Flaming Gorge, Jordanelle, Strawberry, Electric Lake, Ririe Reservoir. We're headed to Anderson Dam soon. And here's my overall thoughts about my kokanee setup. And I believe we catch probably a little bit better than the average. And I think a lot of that's due to attention to detail. So first of all, I've got these velocity rods. This one I think is over 12 or 13 years old, and that sucker's just been great. So you don't need to go buy a new rod all the time. And here's a newer version, another velocity. And then here's another velocity, a black one. So we've got a couple of these reds, a couple of blues, and a couple of the black ones. And I think that black one comes in a couple of different packages, but that's kind of the rod setup. Now let me show you about the lure setup that we have. So I'm going to come up here and hook this onto here. And hopefully we can still see okay. There we go. So let me show you this setup here, okay? So here we go. So here's my Dodger, and that's what I call the bigger size Dodger. There's another one that's smaller than this that Rocky Mountain Tackle sells. This is the mid-size or the larger Dodger. When I go larger Dodger, I lengthen my leader. So I generally want to have my leader twice the length of that Dodger, okay? So twice the length of the Dodger for the leader, and you can see that. Now there's some exceptions to that rule. If I use one with a spinner on it like this, I can even go a little bit longer. Now, and then I change. Early in the season, I use a shorter leader because I feel like it takes more to entice them. And so I get more action in my lure by going a shorter leader, right? Because this wobbles and it wobbles it more. Later on, you can go a little bit longer when they're super active. The other thing to note is, like I said, this spinner. So if you're using one with some kind of a spinner or something on it, you can go a little bit longer because you still have a lot of action and vibration out here. We also like to certain lakes use this mini. It's called the micro squid. We like to use that a lot in certain lakes. We have great success on Strawberry with this and Flaming Gorge with that smaller squid. So that's kind of our setup about how the length of the leader comes into play. Now, if you're fishing white or green and on Strawberry Reservoir in Utah, I go shorter than that. Because if I don't go shorter, I end up catching a ton of cutthroat. I'm not sure why that is. I know they're attracted to that white color and the green color, but I shorten it up and I don't get as many strikes from kokanee or from cutthroat. I end up still catching a lot of kokanee. So that's one exception to that length rule, is I shorten it up on Strawberry. Now let me show you another setup here. This is probably one of my favorite squids overall. Hopefully you can see it there. Check out that squid. That's a little bit bigger size with still a little bit bigger blade on it. To me, that was a mid to late season one. It has a lot of movement and vibration, and with that I go almost 3 times my length of my Dodger as my leader, and I think that entices more strikes that way too. So that's the basics of our setup and how we calculate that. I hope that's helpful. Now we do use maggots on here. I have some corn that I use occasionally, but I generally use maggots, and I just put one on there. And then depending on the time of the season and the location, I don't put scent on these squids. It makes them hard over time. I put the scent either on the back of the Dodger, or I soak my squids in some kind of a scent. And then not my squids, I soak my maggots in some kind of a scent, and then they're all ready to go with that scent on them. So it's a little bit more scent than comes with the maggots. But we always place a maggot on there. So I hope that's helpful. That's our basic setup. When we're down rigging, we generally, on the longest lines, we're 50 to 100 feet back, and on the shorter line about 30 feet back. And we do always have one shorter line because we're fishing with 3 downriggers. So one of the downriggers on the outside, down deeper, out shorter, the other 2 out the back, longer leaders. So I hope that's helpful. We're gonna have another video here pretty soon of how these all perform. We're gonna go back to strawberry in the next couple of days. We'll use these very same setups and kind of give you an idea which one's performing the best. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions about kokanee fishing, let me know. I'm not a know-it-all by any means, but I think I do pretty good, and I'm certainly happy to help you with any tips. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate it.